Hey everybody, it's GoblinX and welcome back to some more Magic Arena. Today we are going to be playing a quick draft of the newest set, Secrets of Strixhaven. Without further ado, let's just speed through quick draft. Quick is in the name, is it not? Because this is a quick draft, we are drafting with bots, which means we can draft as quickly or slowly as we want. We could read through every single card, taking as much time as possible, or we just go pick, 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 and the bots will instantly pass the cards to us. So we're going to do something a little closer to the second here because I don't have a ton of time to record today. And we'll just do this as kind of the opposite of yesterday's video. We had a really competitive Arena Direct video, lots of thoughts, lots of decisions. Today, we're just going to go head empty, vibes based, but I'll still do my job a little bit and explain what's going on. We're starting off with pack one, pick one, excellent, mythic, rare. 5 mana, 5/5 flyer with Ward 2 that also lets us draw 3 cards for only 1 mana. It enters prepared, so it already has at least one draw 3 attached to it without you doing anything else, so that's already spectacular. Pick number 2, none of these cards are strong enough that I'm happy to take them, only pick 2. I do like Visionary's Dance as the top end in any Prismari deck or anything that's even splashing red because it has the early draw spell attached as well. Dual Tactics is okay too as a flashback card, but I'll just take Visionary's Dance here. Pick number 3, what do we got? Another pretty unexciting pack. We'll grab an Unsettled Mockery here, I suppose, for some Prismari removal. Scorn Mage is nice in Silver Quill decks. Mind Roots is okay in Witherbloom. There's not a ton going on there. Pick number 4, that's an exciting pack. There's a Tome Blast for the 2 removal spells off 1 card. Great for slower, grindier Prismari decks, which is where we're probably headed based on our first several picks here. Pick number 5 now. Oh, nothing great for Prismari. It's a bunch of Lorehold cards, Spirit Mascot, Lorehold Charm, Living History. We could take the red-white dual land, because these aren't exactly like splashable Lorehold cards either if we're doing some kind of Jeskai control deck. Just don't think the Landscape Painter's that exciting up front. So we'll take that fixing. We got a heated argument here for a reasonable removal spell. There's also a Divergent Equation, which is kind of a win condition. If you survive long enough in one of these Prismari control decks, just casting this for 7 or 8 mana, picking up like 3 of your instant sorceries in grave will often win the late game. So I'm going to grab that Divergent Equation. Blue-red's a really good color pair for the flow state. If you have an instant and sorcery in your graveyard, you draw 2 off of it for only 2 mana, but it's already good up front. It's just 2 mana, draw 1 out of the top 3. Good as card selection. Run behind is solid interaction. I haven't been that impressed by Paint Mage. It's very small for the cost, and because it only adds mana for instants and sorceries, most turns it's sitting there as a 2/2 that doesn't actually do something, but it will help you play like Visionary's Dance and stuff a turn early. It just, I think, is a little narrow. Page or Muse's Encouragement. We'll take a page here. Pick 10. Not really pumped about any of this. We'll grab a Strife Scholar, theoretically, if it sticks around. Make multiple creatures off the 1 card. Let's rare draft an uncommon, because I won't be playing any of those. We could play a Banishing Betrayal. Not really going to splash. Fractal Painter. So pack 2, pick 1. What have we got here? We got another heated argument. We got an Essence Scatter for a really efficient counterspell. Muse Seeker setting up those draws with the draw and discard's pretty great as well. I'll go for the Essence Scatter here. Mozio is the strongest card in the pack, a pretty great one, but Mozio doesn't align with red or blue at all, so we can't get any dual lands to help splash in Mozio. There's no blue-red school, and there's no blue-black school. There's no red-black school. I think I misspoke. There is a blue-red school. There's no red-black or blue-black school. So there will be no dual lands towards Mozio. Pack 2, pick 2. There's another heated argument we've been talking about. Perfectly happy to run it. Come on in. Pick 3. Potioner's Trove is nice in the more controlling, more splashy Spellslinging decks. So if we find any of like the Converge instants and sorceries that want us playing other colors, that'll end up being pretty nice. Like a Snarl Song. Vibrant Outburst is so good just straight up in the colors we're already playing, though, that it's a little bit hard to decide to push onto that Snarl Song here. Because Vibrant Outburst is already going to be just so exceptional. Yeah, we don't need to move To more colors just yet. Brush Off, really good in the late game, particularly in like the mirror match. 2 mana counter, a big instant or sorcery. Again, I don't love the Paint Mage or the Sky Whale really, but I suppose I'd like them better than Seize the Spoils. We'll grab a Sky Whale. We gotta blow our opponent up with something. Artistic Process is very good in terms of how flexible it is. 5 mana deal 6, or it can kill all the small creatures, or haste out a flyer to beat down with. Abrade is also really good. There's some very powerful artifacts in the set. Pick 8. Guess I'll grab a Tackle Artist looking at this curve. Pick 9. Got that Muse Seeker back, or a Heated Argument. We just got an Artistic Process and the Argument, and Tome Blast and an Outburst. Yeah, I think I can go Muse Seeker. Over the burn spell on that one. Not much here. Take your Glass Right. Virtuoso. Tabulator. And see what we get in pack number 3. Final pack of the draft, we've got Zephi and the Tempests, which is kind of just a 7 mana 5/7. By the time you're casting them, you already have more than enough mana to play all your instants and sorceries pretty easily. So we have a Braid or Tome Blast. I like them both a lot. We've already got one Tome Blast, so I'll take in a Braid here and get some main deckable artifact removal, because you can always find something to shoot for 3. And every once in a while, when your opponent does have one of the really powerful artifacts like the Loot or the Arc, being able to blow it up is pretty sick. Weird Horse Finisher, we'll take that. We don't have a lot of ways to actually close out the game right now. We could splash in a Wilt in the Heat, maybe off of Trove and the Red-White duel. It's more exciting as a possibility than taking a second Banishing Betrayal. Pack 3, pick 4, Disdainful Stroke, really good in the mirror matches, just against the big late game like X mana spells and stuff. Another Brush Off, splash in a Molten Note, or play a Lorecaster for value. Go for another Brush Off. I think out of all those cards, it's the most guaranteed to be good. Don't actually have a lot of card draw in here. I'll play a Quick Study over another Heated Argument. And that plays really well with double Brush Off, because when we hold up the Brush Off and don't cast it, it gives us something to do with our mana. Elemental Mascot. It's another way to chip in, turn over turn, get our damage in, and be somewhat of a win condition. Grab a second copy. Blue-Red Duel or Tome Blast. Just get a Tome Blast. We're just a dedicated 2-color deck at this point. It's not often I end up just pure 2-color, particularly when I'm like the Spellslinging style strategy. I feel like more often than not I end up being full like Jeskai blue, red, and white, or Teamer blue, red, and green. But I guess we are just straight up Prismari here, which is interesting. Should be fine. If we're straight Prismari, we don't need the Trove. I think we're mainly cutting filler creatures, because we really don't need a high creature count in these decks. Yeah, our instants and sorceries are so good here. Yeah, this looks just beautiful, honestly. I got high enough curve to go Page over Painter, I think. All right. Got some sick Prismari stuff. We'll call it a deck here, hop into the gameplay, and see how far this one can take us. All right, here we are on the draw for game number 1. We have both our colors in the opening hand, 1 piece of removal. The very good Emeritus of Ideation as our finisher. Blue-red mirror match. They start with Harmonized Trio that can keep setting up Brainstorms if they have enough creatures on their board. Honestly, not that scared of that. First of all, they need a wide board in Prismari, which is a little bit hard to get because it's so focused on the instants and sorceries. But second of all, then they have to basically tap their whole board just to draw like the 1 extra card you get off Brainstorm each time. Sleight of hand, look at the top two, putting the best into their hand and the rest on the bottom. Or I guess the other on the bottom. Emeritus of Conflict, that's a much scarier card. So I'm gonna Unsubtle Mockery that before they untap, I think, so they can't like cast 3 spells and get a lightning bolt. And this will also just, kind of by circumstance, also be keeping Harmonized Trio off of the 3 creatures it needs to start brainstorming. Say wee with Color Storm Stallion. Put it back in our hand. Fair enough. Down to 16. Not going to play Emeritus till I have 6 mana to immediately draw the 3. So Mascot or just play Stallion again. Play a Mascot here. I feel like whatever I play is going to get blown up. Oh, it's just another bounce spell, so they're just going to Surveil 2 and draw a card. Stress Dream, the Elemental Mascot, sure enough. Come on, 6th mana. Come on, 6th mana. If I get the 6th mana, I don't even know if I want to go Stallion and Mascot or just Emeritus and draw. I did get the 6th mana. I want to get aggressive. I'm going to go Stallion and Mascot. Boop. Lots of lands from our opponent. Wisdom of Ages, return all their instants and sorceries from grave to hand. That's a huge draw for them. Huge draw. Well, we go big with Heated Argument with the Stallion here and the Mascot trigger. We got big Opus triggers. And then I can counter one of their instants or sorceries, because Mascot gives me access with his Brush Off. Sleight of Hand is fine. We save this for the Stress Dream. Or I guess if they try to bounce the token, that's another use. That would be a full-on removal spell on the token, so I will counter it. They have 3 mana left, which is enough for them to cast now Prismari Charm on the token. Or just Brush Off. Same difference. So if I cast 1 instant or sorcery, they're dead. So that 1 instant or sorcery will be my draw 3. And that's 6 damage. There's the concession from our opponent, and that is 1-0 heading into game 2. Alright, here we are on the play for game number 2. This hand is pretty much all interaction. There's no sorceries for my flow state. No. I'm probably going to get greedy with it and just hold on to it because I have so much instant speed interaction to hold up anyway. Just hold these up instead of running out the flow state. And maybe eventually we draw the sorcery to get that going. Our deck actually has a lot more instants than sorceries in general. We need like our Tome Blast or our big 7 mana sorcery finisher. They cast a creature with a great enter effect, we'll counter it, and a creature that doesn't have a great enter effect, we will shoot it. They play a Planeswalker, and that's a problem because the set came out once they stopped making all the removal shoot Planeswalkers too. So, Ral's gonna be chilling. As long as Ral doesn't get to 7, we'll be fine. Bogwater Lumerette. I'd rather Unsubtle Mockery than Essence Scatter that, because its enter effect doesn't matter that much. Unless they cast something that needs the life gain immediately. In which case I could counter that one. Disdainful Stroke. It's a really good card. Doesn't help me deal with a Ral at all, though, and that's the immediate problem I'm having. I think I have to dig for something else. 6 to target creature. Once again, creatures only. Well, this will put a sorcery in my graveyard, and they'll probably spend a removal spell on this flyer to protect Ral next turn. But we've kept Ral from the ultimate for quite some time, thanks to that. Yep, that's fine. Spend a removal spell on the flyer.
You really should take my advice.
Not the 6th mana, so I'm not gonna Emeritus. We'll flow state, draw 2. Draw Vibrant Outburst. Is Ral small enough right now? Ooh, yep. I can Vibrant Outburst the Ral. Cool. And then Muse Seeker, I guess.
I'm out of words.
Essence Knit Scholar. Emeritus plus draw 3. There's the Tome Blast for the Scholar now. Pestbrood Sloth is the play. Ooh, Emeritus lives. Emeritus lives. Let's go. That is unexpected every time. Boop, boop. Just hold up an Essence Scatter. I think just holding up an Essence Scatter should be fine. Play the Color Storm Stallion because we have a Tome Blast and a Heated Argument. Try to make copies of this. I think the token copies make more copies too. Yep. So if I did manage to play 2 different copies in a row, that would be incredible. I'm surprised they didn't kill the Emeritus. Surprised and very happy. Seven cards in grave now. So I can go Muse Seeker. 2, 3, 4, 5. Heated Argument. Draw a card. Or this is just straight draw a card at this point, because it's too expensive. Decline to exile. My hope was I actually wanted to go draw a card, discard, so that I could draw 3 without exiling Tome Blast. But honestly, even if I have to exile Tome Blast, it's worth it. I completely blanked on the fact that that was going to let me draw without discarding. I should have used Run Behind instead to keep Tome Blast in my graveyard. Good draws. Ooh, a pest mascot with triple pest token. Let's go. Juicing that thing up. Sure. Dissection practice for 1/1 removal. Divergent Equation is the draw after I just exiled my whole grave. Tragic. We're just gonna run behind a pest mascot and still win. So we're chilling. Teacher's Pest. Doesn't really matter what I do to that, because it can come right back from the grave regardless. Just keep slamming in the sky. They're down to 8 now. They've gained a lot of life this game. It's possible they would have died without life gain, but then it would have been a completely different game. No such thing as playing against Witherbloom and them not gaining a chunk of life. Alright, I believe that's 2-0 now, heading into game 3. Here we are with the Forced Mulligan for game number 3. We have a mono red hand with 2 double blue spells in it. So we'll mull down to 6 on this one. We are on the draw, which should help out. There we go, that one is keepable. It still needs another blue source for this brush off if we're going to counter a creature spell with it, but the brush off's already ready to counter an instant or sorcery at least. Almost tempted to ditch a mountain here. That feels pretty risky to keep a 2-lander in this deck. This deck does want to get pretty high on mana. Maybe I just get rid of the brush off. I still have Stroke and Scatter. That's probably fair. Oh yeah, especially since we just drew a very late game card. Super glad it didn't get rid of a land at the very least. Blue-red mirror match. We're just going to stare at each other for a while. Oh, they do have a creature on 2, though, so I can play the Stallion on 3. I think holding up Disdainful Stroke instead of playing Stallion is a little bit iffy, because they could always just play 2 mana or 3 mana cards this turn anyway. It's not like they're guaranteed to play a 4 mana card on turn 4. Curves are not always perfect like that. Yep, they played a 3 mana card that we can't Disdainful Stroke anyway. Tidal Mage we can. Could Heated Argument if I draw a land, but only if I do. Yeah, I'll Disdainful Stroke. Well, hit the land, but it is what it is. Can Divergent Equation for 2 to pick these both up, and that would also make a clone of a Stallion. And then once I have 2 Stallions out, then I Outburst the Seeker. They have a Spell Pierce. Brutal. I still get another Stallion though, so that was kind of the main goal. Yeah, we're chilling. And then, yeah, let's just go for 4 Stallions. Actually, is this lethal? This is lethal. If it's another 5 mana spell, 2 more Stallions is 12 damage with haste? Oh my god. Oh my god, alright. This is the best I've ever done with the color form Stallion. That thing is doing great work today. We're 3-0 heading into game 4. We are on the draw for this one, so that tester is gonna juice itself up a bit. Hold up Mockery or Quick Study next turn. Most likely Unsubtle Mockery, the tester of the tangential. But technically we have the option of just drawing a couple cards. Ooh. A Mage Tower Referee. Another card that can keep growing larger and larger. Kind of scary. They are going to move a counter over. Okay, a Braid is a solid draw, because now we can kill both of them with these 2 different removal spells. There's Textbook Tabulator. Grows the Tester. Surveils 2. I think we cast Unsubtle Mockery first because it's more expensive and gives us a Surveil. And there's a chance we have some other 2 mana thing to do alongside the Abrade. Do need to get the 5 mana, so I'm just going to keep that land. And then I guess we're just going to Abrade by itself. We found their 4th land. Wild Growth Archaic. Very scary card. We'll have to Heated Argument that without a Color Form Stallion on board, sadly. Or Color Storm Stallion. Because that's going to add counters to their other creatures they play. For all the colors of mana that they spend on them. Terrafractal. 3/2 flyer. Taking a hit here, like 5 damage on the crackback minimum. Knockout maneuver, pay for the ward. Even if I +1/+1 it here, it's going to be too small to live. But I might as well. Visionary's Dance here, one of the flyers blocks the Terrafractal. Then we Artistic Process the Tabulator, but it's probably going to be a 4/7 by then. Proctor's Gaze is so good against tokens. Phenomenal turn for our opponent. They kill one of our tokens and get the Tabulator out of reach of our removal. Looks like it's just going to be too slow this game. Having to chump Tabulator here is brutal. Whatever I do here, I'm basically just trading into that. If I make another 3/3 flyer, that's just the flyer to trade into that. This one is just dedicated to chumping Tabulator at this point. Draw 2. Alright, top deck. You're our only hope. Yeah. Counterspell is not going to do it. Hand was too slow that game, and we are 3-1 heading to game number 5. Here we are on the play for game number 5. Similarly slow hand to last time, but we are on the play here, so we might be okay. We'll see. Just drawing lands for now. Playing against the red deck. It's the Prismari Mirror Match. Tester of the Tangential starts them off. Incrementally get bigger and bigger and move its counters around. Here's our Stallion to just start beating down. Better to go for the quick study on a turn when we're actually holding up a brush off, so hold that for turn 4, which means we play the Stallion on turn 3. They have a 2-mana 3 damage spell? Gross. All of the 2-mana 3 damage spells are uncommon or higher rarity, so the common removal spells, we're not going to cut it there. Rough. Drop a land and pass. Hold up, brush off, and quick study. Campus Composer, that's worthy of a counter. Being multiple creatures off that one spell. 3/4 and 3/3 flyer. These next couple turns, multiple increment triggers off the one card too. Muse Seeker plus Quick Study. Draw 3, discard 1. Pretty good. Tester hits me for 3 again. We're down to 12. It's a Hydro Channeler for some mana. And we'll Quick Study. Burst Lightning is a-okay. Draw a card, discard a card. Draw 2, find Scatter and Outburst. They can't cast a 4-mana spell right now, so this is kind of like the opportunity to outburst the tester. Because they can't increment it out of range. Now the page guarantees a Visionary's Dance next turn. We'll see who has the bigger top end here. They're at 7 mana off of their channeler if they have Visionary's Dance of their own, but they do not. They go for a flyer that will just counter. Here's our Visionary's Dance. There's an Elemental Mascot. 4 toughness. 4 toughness is quite big here. To be able to block one of these and survive. Hold off half of our damage each turn. We're technically in the lead here, but can easily change at a moment's notice. It's all going to come down to who draws something good first. All it takes is one good draw from them, and they are immediately favored. Because we are not that far ahead. And Orisa's a great draw from them. A 3-for-1. With the Preordain to scry and draw. Dig for the right stuff. I have a feeling the board state is going to flip in their favor next turn once they have all their mana on tap for whatever this Preordain Orisa has found. Both to the top is a horrendous sign. We have land, land, land as our last 3 draws. Kind of our final turn to probably get a little bit of damage in here. They're down to 6, and let's see what they drew into. Sky Coach Conductor. That is an excellent card here. 2/3 Flying Vigilance, plus they can flicker Orisa and draw another 2 cards at worst, and then the Diary of Dreams draws them an extra card every single turn. So they're just drawing a million cards. At least Flow State's a really good top deck. We have found a spell. This is theoretical lethal if they don't have a counterspell right now. Let's go for it. Get an elemental mascot trigger no matter what. Now would be the time for them to use the conductor if they want to draw another 2 cards. But then they won't have that ability to protect one of their flyers. Yep, so now they can't protect one of their flyers from the Abrade, which means that 2 of my 3 power flyers will hit them, and they will go from 6 to 0. I think technically I should have made the haste flyer instead of the burn. Yeah, I probably should have just abraded conductor and then made a 3/3 haste flyer, because then it's 4 3-power flying attackers. The ground creature wasn't relevant there. Yeah, I didn't play that out right, but we still drew perfectly off of that flow state that really made up for the little land clump right before. That is 4-1, heading into game number 6. Here we are on the play for game number 6 with some real awkward mana here. No red mana yet, but we've got Muse Seeker with these brush offs for instants and sorceries to try to trigger it and go for the draw and discard. So that's kind of the plan here. We'll see if it works out for us. We could either brush off some of their early instants and sorceries to draw and discard, or we could end up just naturally drawing them out at some point. If they just immediately Tome Blast Muse Seeker, that's going to be a problem. Okay, Bounce Spell's not that bad, because now we know what we're doing next turn, regardless of what we draw, but we draw the mountain. Absolutely wonderful. Still doing the same thing. Sleight of hand from our opponent. Look at the top 2, put 1 in their hand, 1 on the bottom. Play their mountain, play a Goblin Glasswright. I would like to play a land every single turn, so let's Tome Blast and hope that the draw and discard gets us to land for turn. It does not. That is awkward. Get rid of this run behind because we have these red burn spells instead. There's land number 4. Now I can just chill and hold up a brush off. Brush off the run behind. Discard mascot. Can't afford it right now. I just want lands. I would rather keep these 2 mana instants that I can afford, and the Heated Argument because it draws a card off Muse Seeker. Okay, I'll keep Heated Argument over Abrade since that gives me a full card draw off of Muse Seeker. Go Stallion holding up Scatter. Could also just Tome Blast their face to draw 1 there. I don't think that would have been crazy. But if Stallion manages to survive a turn cycle, starting to cast 5 mana spells with a Stallion on board is going to be disgusting. Alright, well, I mean, we do it. Tome Blast the face, get a second Stallion. They're down to 5. They do have a heated argument on one of the Stallions. The other remains. Unfortunately, heated argument deals damage to the creature's controller. It doesn't deal damage to specifically your opponent, so I could kill my own Stallion and deal 2 to me, but I can't like kill it and deal 2 to them. That would be really cute if I could. I can Tome Blast them. Play around any removal for creatures. And then even if they have a counter for the Tome Blast, we can flash it back. They do have the Vibrant Outburst on the Stallion. But Tome Blast kills them, so that'll do it. 5-1 now. Very, very positive record here wherever things go from here. Another mono-colored hand here for game number 7. We have the Visionary's Dance to look for the red source, and the Quick Study, so multiple cheap draw spells, and then after playing the cheap draw spells we can equation them back and actually cast the expensive half of Visionary's Dance. We drew a Page Loose Leaf, which changes the plan here. Opponent starts with Diary of Dreams. The plan is no longer getting rid of Visionary's Dance early. We're just putting the page on the board and then playing Quick Study first. Slightly bigger card draw. Playing against blue, red, green, there's the Shared Roots. Okay, they are popping the heck off with their Converge deck. They're going to get to some pretty massive late game pretty early. There's an Abrade for us for that Diary of Dreams, thankfully. No Sorcery Engrave. Sad day for Flow State. At 5 mana here. Guess I can Visionary's Dance for my Sorcery Engrave. I think I've already played my land per turn, but maybe not. We'll see. Yeah, because I just drew the mountain, right? Yeah. But now I got that for next turn, and I've got the Flow State and the Artistic Process ready. Studious first year. Get even more mana. Elemental Mascot is the draw. Flow State. Definitely draw Emeritus. Heated Argument or the Essence Scatter? Kind of like the Essence Scatter here. Then just holding that up. Because they're at huge mana values. If they have one of those Terra Fractals or something. Could get out of reach of our burn, but it can't get out of reach of our Essence Scatter. Currently everything they have dies to Artistic Process, which is huge. Ooh. Ooh. See if we can get them to use removal on slightly less important creatures. So just keep holding up our interaction and play our creatures from least important to most important. So Mascot into Stallion into Emeritus. Sure did get a removal spell out of there. Ay. Well, now artistic process is useless. Oh boy. Alright, well. They're putting 2+1/+1 counters on their whole board every turn. It's one of the really gross paradigm mythics. Just gets cast every single turn for the rest of the game. That'll be a 5/5 next turn. Four mana after playing Stallion. I can't play Stallion and something else. I could play Emeritus holding up an Essence Scatter. Draw 3 if they go for a removal spell on Emeritus. I could Artistic Process the Studio's first year and hold up Scatter. That's another option. Just going full anti-germination here. Disdainful Stroke. Oh, okay. I was going to say, why didn't they counter the earlier thing? They can't. It was too cheap. Snap counter. That Fractal Mascot. No shot, they got a Spell Pierce too, a Brush Off. Alright, well. Get germinated. They have like 15 power on the board next turn. You just have to go all chumps. It's a 6/6 and a 5/5. I don't have the mana to like bring back Artistic Process and cast it with this equation. Since they stunned our page. None of them are artifacts for a Braid. Yeah, no, it's literally just play creature and chump. If Page didn't get stunned here, I could like play Stallion and then equation for 5 and have 2 chumpers. Or I could equation and then do the 5 mana removal on the mascot. I guess I could just draw the greatest 1 mana spell in the universe. Nope, these don't do nearly enough. Get germinated, nerd. 5 and 2 heading into game 8. All right, here we are on the play for game number 8 with the wonderful hand. Got interaction, threats, and all of our colors. Lecturing Scorn Mage is going to start them off. Tome Blast is very happy to see that. Send in the Pest, that's a little annoying. This is weird, but I'm going to discard Disdainful Stroke against Witherbloom colors. Because this Artistic Process can clear out all of the pests, at least, for the 2 damage to everything, so I could foresee that being really strong. Alright, you could play any trick in the book, and I'm fine with it. Poisoner's Apprentice, fair enough. Poisoner's Apprentice also small enough for the artistic process. Sloth is not. Sloth is quite big. Essence scatter that. Find a flow state that's active. Let's go. Thank you, Tome Blast. Get our 5th mana. Brush off. Teacher's Pest dies to process, but it also comes back from grave over and over. Let's go. Emeritus, draw 3. They almost definitely have removal for it, but whatever. I am up 3 cards. End of the hunt, sure. Follow the Lumarettes for them to draw a couple creatures. They find a land and Lewin. Lewin's very scary. Need 4 mana to counter Lewin. So I can Tome Blast the Apprentice and hold up the Brush off for Lewin. Another Follow the Lumarettes for another draw 2. Essence Knit Scholar and Sneering Shade Rider. Okay, the Scholar is chill. Guess the problem is, like, to do what I want to do to the Scholar, I have to tap out of holding up the Brush off for the Lewin. What if I play a page, block a 1/1 counter Lewin, and then... Okay, counter a Brush off. Or sorry, counter a Shade Rider is fine too. But then after that, I artistic process. Means I'm gonna have to take another swing here. Send in the Pest. Oh, that is really awkward. Lewin is 1, 2, 3, 4 more pests. I can't let Lewin resolve. Discard a Visionary's Dance. Now I've got Divergent Equation. Now that I've got Divergent Equation, I can Artistic Process and then Divergent Equation it back to kill all the pests that Lewin makes too, I guess. I really wish this was just the land instead, though, so I could process and brush off. That's the really important thing. If I could process and brush off in the same turn, I'd be so safe. But I can't play a 5-mana spell and still have this brush off. I mean, I go process, they play Lewin, they make a bunch of pests. I then have to equation just for 1 to get the process back immediately. I don't get to, like, really need to equation for more than that, I think. What is that? Top deck. I mean, that just completely blows me out here. Tragic. Not casting the Lewin is actually pretty good for me. Because now if I hit the land, I actually just pick up the scatter and then I don't even need to hit the land. But I am going to die to this Teacher's Pest over time. So I need these Visionary's Dance tokens, but I can cast them next turn. I need them to be able to block the Menace. These draws are just straight gas. Because now I'm at 1, so if I just Tome Blast it, they bring it back at 1 and kill me with Menace. And that killed my mana, so I can't play Dance and Scatter in the same turn. Unless I top deck a land. I'm dead! Man, this game lined up really poorly. Because if we had 9 mana here, then we can Visionary's Dance to have the double block against the Menace and lose no creatures, and then just have Scatter for Lewin. But they just blew up our Mana Dork and put us to exactly 1 here. And then we didn't hit the land. It's so gross. I mean, I only got 1 line that makes me not immediately dead, but then Lewin's just going to make an entire board. That's so absurd. We're like stable if I just hit a land. That's so lucky for our opponent, honestly. Because they were like revealed cards too. They knew about Visionary's Dance plus Scatter, so they knew if we top decked a land that would not work out too well. But I guess, like, what else are they going to do with the knockout maneuver? Might as well hope. It certainly worked out. It's a really frustrating way to end it. We don't have any draws that wipe the board at this point. Yeah. Brutal ending. 5 and 3 it'll be. I think this deck was very, very capable of a 7 winner. Certainly, I think our first loss was very self-imposed. I think we could have won with different plays there, if I remember correctly. I don't know. It's been a lot of games. That last loss, probably there was some way to find perfect lines and buy enough time to to maybe get there. But also things just lined up perfectly and imperfectly for us. Like our opponent hit just beautiful top decks turnover turn for a bit. And we were in a position where like 50% of our draws would have been perfect to stabilize, but we hit the other 50%. We lost that coin flip there, which feels like losing a lot of coin flips in that Witherbloom matchup. Yeah, I'm happy with how I drafted. I think this is a really strong deck. Very excellent deck. It has all the cheap removal that you need to not die to like Silver Quill and Lorehold, having the 4 cheap burn spells and some cheap counters. And it's got the good top end that you want in these Prismari style decks. Cards like Visionary's Dance Process, Divergent Equation. Even the brush offs kind of work as top end because the big late game matchups, these are going to counter their big late game bombs, and that's how you stay ahead in the end game against other slower decks. So I think this is a really, really solid deck. It's not perfect. There's cards like the Sky Whale that just don't do too much in it. That would just be better served as like another Visionary's Dance or Diversion Equation or something. But it's quite a solid one that I think is more than capable of a 7 winner. So a little sad it didn't line up that well today, but still 5-3, still a very positive record. And I don't regret how I drafted this one at all. We're at basically the break-even point by quick draft standards. It's 750 gems to play, and we're getting 650 back as well as every card that we drafted and an additional pack. So not quite break even if all you care about is gems, but got a lot of cards and 650 gems. Not bad at all. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it and you're interested in seeing some more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. And other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.